Okay, YouTubers and two bets and crazies. I think we should probably conclude all this court shit. Because truthfully, the bad news is that there's more than a chance than none that although cyber libel cases talk about prison mayor, they call it, and from all my readings, when somebody pleads, there are technical words for this too, but when somebody pleads guilty, they're not going to contest the charges. More than likely, there would be a fine involved, anywhere from 40,000 to 1.5. It's according, and that's the question I'd like to ask from my viewers, and this is going to conclude all this court talk and bullshit and so on, and just let it be. Do you think in a case as such that a fine alone would be appropriate? The Mazda 9. Yeah, I just think at some point, rather than talking about it, is to kind of bring things to a conclusion in regards to a current court case that's going on for cyber libel. 5 counts, I might mention. The question is a fine appropriate? Is a fine enough? And what happens if you can't pay that fine? Clint seems to think no. Uh, no, it's an honest question. Do you think, after all that's been said and done, that a fine would be an appropriate solution? It's an honest question. I'll wait till a few more people come up so they could kind of regurgitate a few syllables on this subject. I think most of you have been following all this bullshit. Have your own opinions, yay and nay. Do you have a voice with the court in this matter? I think I do. I can't be certain. Huh? I think I do. I'm not giving you 100% on that. I think that I do. But ultimately, I think it's the prosecutor, the fiscal himself. I'm thinking the judge should determine what is best for the Filipino community. Strife is justice. Yeah. No, I'm talking very openly about this, and instead of talking about concluding everything about the court case, I think I'd like to end this with that question of what you think is fair, and I think everybody is familiar with the cyber libel crap that's been committed by this individual. And if you have followed this for a long time, I'm sure you have your own opinions about this in light of a lot of things. Hello, Jerry. The judge should decide what's best for the Filipino community. I don't know. What do you think about this, Jerry? If you just turned in, the question is a fine good enough? For example, if the individual pleaded guilty, no contest, whatever, wants to go home, and the judge decides to just give a fine, which is basically, as far as I'm concerned, a slap on the wrist, is that going to be good enough? Huh?
Nothing to ask for your viewer.
Nothing to ask from my viewers. It's just an opinion.
Yeah, it's nothing to do for you.
Yeah, just relax, okay? The court shit will be over before you know it, but not that it matters what my viewers think, but just out of curiosity. Let's see. Well, the time served thing, I don't think that applies. It's an immigration versus a criminal case, and I don't think, I really don't think time served. If I'm not, I don't know if I'm incorrect about this. I think I've asked that question before. I don't remember the answer from my attorney. It's been a while back, and I don't remember what he said about that, but I think, I have every memory of that at all. I think he said that should not apply. Do you get a financial? Well, I don't know. His original form that he put in, I think it did mention either attorney expenses or certain fines or whatever. I think it did. I'd have to look up my pile of legal paperwork here to go back to that. What was seeking. It was not the case was not a financial gain type of case. It's not a civil lawsuit. We weren't asking for money, but I think the lawyer was praying for some kind of fines and some kind of reimbursement for legal fees and stuff like that. Google if you can't pay court fines in Philippines. Mazda9 says, I would tell the judge that you'd accept whatever he thought was justice and fair to you. After all, you brought this case before the court to seek justice. Brain Damage says it needs that they get jail. Now, let's be real about this. I've read in some cases, it's under the same thing, section 4 in parentheses C4, where the person just wound up with a 40,000 peso fine, and this was argued in court, that the law did provide for 1% higher. It provided for court mayor, they call it M-A-Y-O-R, like a mayor, jail mayor, prison mayor, excuse me. Yeah. Mazda 9 has it. Well, I mean, I'm going to accept whatever the judge says. I mean, that's his word. And whatever it is, it is. But there would have to be a stipulation. Well, first of all, if you're still going to be sort of convicted, whether you plead guilty or not. It's still going to be on your record. And you'll probably a 99.99% chance that you'll never be able to get back into this country again. Either way, actually. Yeah. Why the concern about him? No, it's not a concern. It's a question. It's just a survey. And your thoughts about what you think would actually be appropriate considering the circumstances of what you've heard and the continuation of his constant shows committing the same crime he did before. and not giving a shit about it. It's an attitude problem, basically. Brain damage says needs that you get an input on sentence of police killing, whether I do or not. Well, Judge Order 3, Judge Cohen. Oh, we had the other judge, Judge Cohen. Well, that's a possibility. I mean, it's a distinct possibility in regards to that matter. We're not talking about that matter right now. But anything is possible. Mazda 9 says, if a fine is levied, do you get to keep any? I don't know. If it's kind of like how it's been arranged originally in the paperwork, or, if it's just Republic of Philippines against so-and-so, I think if anything, the Philippines keeps that money on fines in a lot of cases. Unless specified on the original complaint sheet that, your attorney is saying that an expectation, pain and suffering, all that stuff, and that it's specified, lawyers' fees and so forth, unless it's actually specified. That could happen. That could happen. The sooner he leaves the country and you guys can get on. Oh, it only starts there, believe me. He goes back to America, he'll find a way to get back online again, and he'll just spend all this time, but then it won't really matter anyways in another country, and who gives a fuck? He wouldn't be in the Philippines, and he can mouth off all he wants, and it's really not going to affect anybody or anything, or even me. Yeah. Now, once it's over, it's over, and then I'm pretty much done, as I said before. Yeah. King of Discord says likely he gets just fines that he will never be able to repay. Gotcha. As I said, just an opinion, whether it matters or not. I'm just curious how most people honestly feel about this situation. You can understand how I feel, no mercy. Just could have went in a whole new different direction, but he was persistent on doing shows and doing the same thing he did to get the charges on him. So that kind of changed my mind a lot. Yeah, there's no sympathy for the devil, as they say. I just, honestly, if he took a different route a long time ago and he didn't come on and start attacking me and he really felt remorse for what he did, he's not saying he never did it. He said on his own show, yeah, he did it, whatever, admits it. You've all heard that. But I just don't understand his way of thinking is that he keeps on saying that this is all bullshit. I called them names and blah, blah, blah. I shouldn't be here, do this and do that. That I should dismiss the case and so we can go on with our lives and all that. But no, it didn't just end off that way. I mean, you gather kindness from somebody who's showing somebody else kindness, but you don't gather kindness and sympathy from an opposing party by keep on copying a cocky attitude toward the individual that is the one that has got him on trial. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. Oh, fuck him. Vengeance. That's what he's trying to do. What do you mean he'll seek vengeance? He's got his girlfriend involved in this. So, I mean, there you go. That's his vengeance. Coercion is a crime in the Philippines. Well, whether it's determined that or not, we'll see. Oh, he got real upset on his show. The fact that I mentioned that her putting a complaint in on me was a clear and concise correlation of his dissatisfaction of being locked up. And when I started talking about the consequences of such actions, if found, repeat, if found, that she was a complicit, well, let's just say this. If it was deemed that she played a part in this and she perjured herself, and it's up to the DOJ or whoever, I mean, it could actually work against him because right now he's facing trial, he's in immigration. And if immigration, obviously they know now, but they find out that there was a collusion between him and her. Uh, yeah, I mean, logically, that wouldn't go good against her. And what they plan to do, no, there's none of my doing. Obviously not. It's none of my doing. It's something that he did by getting her involved. So it's not like, oh, Frank, you're going after her to, try to put a legal case. I'm not doing any legal case on her right now. I never said I was doing a legal case. I said that there's a possibility that this was going to lead to something because of her cooperation in harboring him to begin with, although he's trying to play stupid on this, saying that she had no idea, which, I don't buy that at all. And it looks very suspicious that the girlfriend of a guy who's incarcerated would suddenly put a deportation complaint about the very person that put her boyfriend in jail. And the immigration's going to see this. They're not that stupid. I don't know what you think about Philippines law people, but they're not that stupid. Just because maybe they don't speak your language doesn't mean they're stupid. They got in these positions because they earned it. They went to college. They've heard it all. And they can put two and two together real easy. Yeah. Yeah, I always talk about that 6 months in one day. And you probably remember that too. King of Discourse says 6 months in one day in Bikiton plus a Netflix special for Frank's victory dance. Strive and Justice says there's no mercy for Barry. I don't know, what is mercy? It's a girl's name. Like I said, I'm pretty lax on this. I mean, as far as, his case is concerned, I'm pretty lax about it. I mean, just, how about you guys letting Barry stay at your house and neighborhood? Oh, that'll be lovely. As I said, I do possess compassion, but it has to be the right circumstance, and that just didn't work out. I mean, it goes against yourself to come on your show and continue saying the same shit that got you into trouble, and you're not. That's not buttering somebody up. It's actually the opposite. It just gives me, I like to call it, more tensile strength to continue doing this court case and continuing to try to get the best results from it. It don't make any sense. Well, that's just the way I'm seeing it. It doesn't make any sense at all that you want your freedom, but yet you're not willing to do things for your freedom. Instead, you're fighting it instead of giving into it and saying, hey, I did something wrong, okay? And, I mean, he admits, I mean, we heard him on here. He admits he did wrong, but then he'll say, I didn't do anything wrong. Another moment. He'll change his mind, like a subway train comes every fucking 5 minutes. You can pretty much depend that another subway train's going to come in the next 5 minutes if you miss the other, or the bus will come in the next 5 minutes. According to what his mood is, he'll admit something and then deny it. Because I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm guilty, fuck that shit. Then he'll say, well, I'm just going to plead no contest and, just plead guilty and just get this shit over with. So he kind of goes back and forth on this. Strife says this is bullshit, letting Barry out into the public. Well, I may not have any say in this. He could get slapped with a fine. I was just reading some stuff this morning on this matter, actually. Just this morning. I was having my tea. I was looking up some things on there as far as what's the punishment for cyber libel. And keep it in mind, he's got 5 counts. That acts as an individual case. That acts as 5 individual cases. If he's guilty on all 5 accounts, what's going to happen with that? I don't know. I could lay here rather, and tell you that I really don't know, because the court system is, it's not, they're not always strict on their rules as what the conviction would be for such. Because I've heard both. I've heard jail time, and I've heard where they just get slapped on the wrist. Want to keep the dockets down and all that shit. And this is not like a case of somebody tried to murder somebody or whatever. It's nothing like that. Although I have had death threats, and that's just another case, which I got in the back pocket. It's real. I mean, believe me, it's real. I can tell you how real it is. I paid for it. I paid 10,000 pesos for him to write this up. And the only reason he hasn't submitted to the prosecutor yet is because we're just kind of waiting what happens with something else. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's ready to go. It's ready to go. There's no question. There's no bullshit story on this. He's been paid. Done and done. And all he said to me was, well, let me know when you want me to submit it. I basically told him, I said, let me see what happens with his case and with his girlfriend's deportation situation. If that goes sour for some reason, then he's got to go ahead to put in the other case. I don't have to be present either. Let's see, King of Discord. In my opinion, he is guilty. Gets fined $50,000 per charge, has to repay overstay, and is deported and blacklisted for life. That could happen. King of Discord goes on to say, on the evidence so far, I didn't see how jail time is warranted. Oh, it's warranted. It's warranted. He was pretty intense on this. They're the one that write the laws. I didn't write the laws in this country. They do give people prison time for this shit. But you might have a very, sympathetic judge. I know nothing about him. Don't know. I just know that while sitting there, I've heard a lot of times that he gave people like 6 months and 1 day. 6 months and 1 day. 6 months and 1 day. I heard that left and right in 2 different courtrooms, actually. 6 months and 1 day. Shit, he could do that standing on his head, 6 months. He's done almost 19. So I can't see why he couldn't do 6 months in 1 day. The difference is he would be in Bicutan or someplace like that. Can he handle that? That's the only question. Pleading guilty equals undesirable is 5 years blacklist. When Barry is released, he will cause harm to Frank 100%. He's released. He's getting deported. You're forgetting that. He wants to try to confront me. He could certainly try, but he would never do it on his own. Or he'd have a baseball bat or a knife, his famous knife. He knows he couldn't handle me. He'd have to have a baseball bat, and even that might not work because he has to hit me first. But not getting into some physical violence discussion here, which we won't. He's not going to escape and make himself in a worse situation, believe me. He wants his freedom, but, he's thinking that if he does get, sent back to the United States, that he's going to be able to come back, but I just don't see that being the case. In combination of approximately 7 years of purposeful overstay and having 5 counts of cybercrime against him, I think he's going to be deemed as an undesirable, which he originally was, and I don't think he'll be able to come back. Okay, Mazda 9. His girlfriend was asked the other day how she envisioned her future with Barry. She said that she only thought about her and Barry for that day. In essence, no future. Well, I don't really want to talk about her on here. She has to find out things on her own. Like every other girlfriend he's had, they had to find out things on their own. It's their decision, stay or go. Like the song, should I stay or should I go? Dun, 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 dun. That's her decision. It's not yours. It's not mine. She has her own reasons for being with him. Beyond that, what the hell do I know? People make interesting choices in life sometimes. His girlfriend's Facebook shows she is a nurse. She's not a nurse. No, I don't know. I don't have any comment on that at all. Really. A nurse. Okay. Yeah, and I'm a scientist. I would comment more on that, but I'm not going to. Look, you can't force people to do something that they don't want to do. But I think in the light of, you know, eminent conviction and stuff that I think you would think, I would think, we all would think that, you know, kind of slow down on the reins on that horse because it's not getting you in a direction that's of any positive nature at all. It's just going to make it worse. But, you, me, everybody's tried to deliver this message to him in our opinions and advice and so forth, and he doesn't want to take it because he says on another show recently that he's not cocky. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you're not cocky. He's one of the cockiest motherfuckers I've ever encountered in my life, needless to say. Strife to humanitarian. Well, whatever the dude does upon his future freedom, when he either serves time or whatever, or gets deported, he'll just continue fucking up his life as he normally does. He didn't do a great job in the States very well, from what we understand, and this has been a continuum of his cockiness and attitude and disposition, whether it was the causation was growing up in a family that was abusive or whatever the situation might have contributed to his overall attitude. Again, I'm not a psychologist here, and I cannot tell you with any accuracy, what his total story is. So you can get an idea of it, but I can't conclude, and as I said, I don't have the pedigree to make that conclusion. Depends. Yeah. Well, my girlfriend's not really happy for me doing any shows, even talking about all the bullshit that's going on here. That's why I decided to actually do this morning, because we're well beyond the point of having to continue to make speculation of, where this is all going and everything else, what's right and what's wrong, and you guys got to come to your own conclusions. It don't matter to me, and there's nobody running my life on YouTube here. And it's not like anybody's going to change my opinion on here with your own opinion. I just came out and basically asked what you think as a census on this, whether him getting a fine, which I call a slap on the wrist, is going to be adequate for this situation. The courts want this to go away and move to more serious. Well, who said this wasn't a serious offense? Don't forget, he's also threatened my life how many times too. I don't know what you call serious, but that would be addressed in a future case. As I said, I'm just waiting what happens with a couple of things going on right now. I'm just waiting. He's paid for. It's all done. Done and done. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting. Since I'm already paid, I'll pay. It's no big problem. Go, send it to the prosecutor for a second case. As what the DOJ, Department of Justice, would do in respect to her for being kind of in a collusion with all this stuff and to do that report on me to try to get me deported. Well, that will come in time. It's whatever they want to do. I'm not exercising this at all. It's just to let you know. None at all. None at all. I don't have any my lawyer has paperwork, but I don't have paperwork. It's not instituted by me. It's her very actions of making allegations against me as such when it's going to be deemed that it's been a collusion for retribution and revenge by, her and her boyfriend. That's for them to decide and make their own conclusions. I don't have a special, I don't really have a special report on this. I don't have any written up paperwork on this at all. Zero. Only the second case for him. That I have. But no, I have no paperwork on her. I think it's going to iron itself out in its own way. It's whatever they decide to do, which basically means I'm not involved in this. It would be his actions getting her involved that could possibly get her in a world of hurt. And he's already starting to threaten me with that. If something happens to my girlfriend, she got family and all that shit. It doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. Yeah. Would it surprise you if he was set free after paying a fine or going to prison for a few years? I guess. Well, I don't know what's happening. You know what? I don't know what's happening to all of them. Him, I mean. Well, that was included in the statements. I could tell you that. Yes. Yeah, in the original affidavit to the prosecutor, yeah, that was mentioned in there. Absolutely. But the case is not particularly about his death threats. That's a whole separate animal. However, the courts could look into that and use that as another tool. Well, you mean he also threatened you or you and your girlfriend or whatever? Yeah, they could look at that. How deep the fiscal looks at this, I really don't know. As you can see, I'm being very honest on this show today. I've always been. I'm not going to claim this. I'm not going to claim that. I'm just telling you kind of how it is. That it could go either way. But sure, both of us would be happy when this is all over with. That's for sure. No matter what happens. However, him getting his girlfriend involved, yeah, that's a whole nother issue right there. Obviously, I'm not happy about that. And everyone knows that she knew that he was an overstay. Of course she did. Of course. Judge Beach says 6 to 8 years possibly in fines for each charge. Well, we don't know that. See, I'm being honest. I'm not trying to scare the guy. I'm not trying to... I just told you. I have a different approach than you guys do. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and speculate what they're going to do to him. Okay, her Facebook shows she got a nursing degree from Gulas College of Med Cebu. I don't know, maybe she does. And why she didn't go into nursing? Maybe that would be a good idea. I don't know whether that's false information or not. And it don't really matter to me either one way or the other. If she didn't. I know personally another gal that went to college for nursing and, she decided it wasn't worth it. She'd make more money doing working at IT Park, hitting the telephones, Yeah. It seems horrible that you waste all that knowledge of nursing and have to work at a call center, but, she made that call and she decided to do that. Well, I don't know. I mean, look at Sentai 7. He dressed up in generals' uniforms and Darth Vader and all that shit. Is he Darth Vader? Is he a general because, he used to get into cosplay? No. Whatever, guys. It don't matter to me. Whether she's a fucking scientist or whatever the hell she is, it just don't fucking matter to me. I personally don't give a shit about her, about her boyfriend. I personally don't give a flying shit. And I mean that. I don't give a shit. And whatever happens to either one of them, I'm sure they will deserve. But, as I said, I'm open to whatever the hell the judge wants to do. And leave it at that. Kind of why I'm doing this show today. Because I sat back and think, well, just fucking leave it alone, man. Why the fuck are you even talking about all this shit going on? Just let it be. Go on with your life and say, fuck it, man. What happens, happens. It's either in my control or it's not in my control. It just doesn't matter at this point. It really doesn't. He's already got, if you really want to look at it, it's almost 19 months he's been jailed up. I mean, am I really that worried about what the decision is on him in court? No, I'm not really. I'm just going with the flow, that's all. Going with the flow. He's already incarcerated for almost 19 months. I mean, am I going to cry about this? No, I think I made my point very well. Well, of course, he did that to himself. I mean, he's blaming me, but the fact is, look, I didn't put a gun to his head and say, hey, man, don't pay your fines for 7 years. Did I do that? No, I didn't do that. I might have a slight disconnect in a minute or so. Quite frankly, I'm going out. Pretty white. Oh, that crap anyway. No, we haven't gotten to that point. I have a quit date. I'm not going to tell you guys what a quit date is. Got it all figured out, and it's going to be hell on wheels. It's been really hard to quit because of the fact that I'm dealing with so much bullshit going on right now, so I'm not making an excuse, but it's just a reality. No, there actually is a potential witness in here. I'm not saying who it is, whether they're related to anything. I'm just, he thinks it's bullshit, but it's actually not bullshit. It's not bullshit at all. My lawyer has to file a motion to add another, I think it's called a motion to add another witness to this, and we're just waiting to see. We may not need to. It's according to what he pleads. And I'm not giving no advice to this. I'm not telling him to plead guilty. I'm not telling him, to not to plead guilty. I told you, I'm totally on the sidelines with this. He has to talk this over to his attorney that he speaks of so kindly. And they have to kind of mull it over and see what's the best route to take in consideration of many factors of where this can go. If you would ask me what I would do in a situation like this, man, that would be a hard one. I don't know. I think that if I was really guilty of something and something like that, and thinking that the conviction could be kind of severe, yeah, I guess I would have to plead. I would have to plead guilty, considering and nobody knows that's the whole thing. It's a crapshoot, is what it is. It's really like one of those things. I'm not like him. I don't hide. But the area I always go to, the reason it's not have a bad carrier, it's just that there's a dead spot really from the satellite and everything else. When I